So, moving on with the next part of the review, we are moving on to DragonCraft. Now, DragonCraft has quite a few interesting things here. I'm quite excited for the upcoming DragonCraft. So, the first, its legendary, is Worm God of the Skies. So last time we have Sibyl of the Water Worm, next we have Worm God of the Skies. I'm hoping to see something of the Earth and something of Fire in the next two expansions. Anyway, it's a 9-cost 5/6, so it's very understated, but she has a very strong effect. Last words, during your turn, double the attack and defense of each allied DragonCraft follower that comes into play. So the way this is worded is, I'm not very sure because they say last words during your turn. So I'm not sure whether if she is destroyed on your turn, then after that you during that turn all your DragonCraft followers double, or is it when she's destroyed in your opponent's turn, does the effect not activate, or does it just skip to your next turn? So I'm not very sure, but I think it means that if your opponent destroys it, then it's during your next turn. If she is destroyed during your turn, then for that turn everything is doubled. So her effect, of course, is undoubtedly extremely strong. She doubles the attack and defense of each allied DragonCraft follower that comes into play. Note, it is a DragonCraft follower, so any neutral followers like Bahamut or whatever will not be doubled. When I first saw this, the first thing I was thinking of is, okay, I want a 14 attack Genesis Dragon to just run straight into my opponent's face. That would be the dream, of course, but of course she has much more ways that she can be used. You can use her with something like Ouroboros to make just Ouroboros much more sticky on the board, and also cause your opponent will have to go through the trouble of destroying Ouroboros, which in the end just bounces back to your hand. So there are a lot of combos that you can do with her, but generally her effect is her effect is extremely strong, and definitely will run her in late game DragonCraft, but probably a more combo variant of late game DragonCraft, because her effect is one where the more followers you play, the better it is, because she doubles the attack and defense. So you probably want to play like 3 followers on the turn you activate her effect, which means probably a mid-range to late game sort of deck, which shouldn't be difficult with the upcoming cards. Next, we have an 8-cost 7/7 JabberWock from, I forgot what's his name, but there was a writer that wrote created this imaginary creature. So 8-cost 7/7 is not too bad. With a fanfare, destroy all other allied followers. For each follower destroyed, put a random follower that costs more than the destroyed follower from your deck into play. So basically, when you play him, you destroy all your allied followers, then just put new allied followers that cost more than the previous one into play. Now, I'm thinking what you want to do is for this deck, you want to run very early game, very cheap followers and very expensive followers. No, say, medium cost followers. So you probably want to run things like Ivory Dragon and I don't know, some 2-drop like say maybe Unica. Then when you play, then you want to run some late game like Genesis Dragon and Bahamut. So when you activate his effect, those 2 small followers will be destroyed and changed into the bigger followers to really pump up the power of your board. Now, if someone ever manages to get Worm God of the Skies and JabberWock off in the same turn, I will applaud you, because that will be the god-like field, I tell you. But generally, I think this card is very strong. My prediction is this will be the strongest DragonCraft legendary, because Worm God of the Skies is a little bit slow and requires setup. JabberWock has much more impact on the board, and also because it can be used for a lot of finishers as well. The moment you summon that Genesis Dragon, that's a 7 damage going straight to your opponent's face or whatever. So definitely an extremely strong card. We'll be looking forward to playing around with this deck. Yes. So following that, we have a 7-cost Amulet, Tilting at Windmills, from the famous, I don't know, the fairy tale story of the old man who wanted to be an adventurer, and then after that he thought windmills were giants and then he charged at them, thus giving you this amulet Tilting at Windmills. So its skill is, whenever you play a neutral follower, give it Storm and destroy at the end of the turn. Now, the strongest thing I can think of with this is so basically what you want to do is you play down this amulet and then you play neutral followers and give them Storm and do direct damage to your opponent's face. Personally, I think this might go well in something like the, not exactly Prince of Darkness, but if you use Cocytus's Call, you get your Servant of Darkness and then you play it with this amulet, you can get a 13/13 with Storm. Extremely strong and once again very fun. However, of course the trouble will be amulet removal and finding time to play the amulet, because it's a 7-cost amulet. So if you play the amulet, of course you'll probably be playing nothing else in your turn because it costs so much. So it'll be difficult to pull this amulet off, but if you do, it definitely has a very strong effect to back it up. Giving Storm to any neutral follower, unlimited combos you can pull off. So next we have Red Rage Worm, 3 cost 0/5, quite a unique card. And then on Evolve, it becomes a 3 cost 10/10. So basically, when it's unevolved in its 0/5 form, it can't attack. Then when you evolve it, it becomes a 10/10 which can attack and is destroyed at the end of the turn. Yes, definitely I would say it's one of the more fun cards in this expansion. It's not so, it definitely can become a deck of its own. On the turn 3 you play this, if your opponent doesn't get rid of it, on turn 4 you evolve and go ham. The fun factor of this card is definitely there. Whether it will see like play in decks, competitive constructed decks, probably not, because first you have to have it stick for 1 turn, and then the only good this card does is to deal direct damage, because since it's destroyed at the end of the turn, you only have 1 attack with it. So probably if you want to use this card, it's to deal direct face damage, which means it gets cucked by any ward, of which there exists a lot. So probably just a card for fun, not really to see play in any like specific deck. But when I say fun, I mean really, really fun. Like 3 cost 10/10, anytime, any day. So we will be looking forward to trolling with this card. Moving on, we have Fortress Crab, a 9 cost 6/8, slightly understated. It has Ward, and then on its evolve, it doesn't gain any stats, and it has Last Words. Put a Fortress Crab into your hand. Hey, not very sure how to look at this one, because personally I don't think you'll see any play. I feel like the Last Words is not just like the Last Words is not strong enough for to waste an evolution point on, and also since it doesn't gain any stat increases with the evolution point, I don't think it's worth evolving just to get it back into your hand. Of 9 costs, I would rather play a lot more things. Israfil, even the Worm God of the Skies would be fun. This card, not really. So unfortunately, but the only thing I can see good coming out of this card is if it gets summoned by JabberWock. Then maybe, but other than that, I don't think it's that good enough to warrant play. So following that, we have a spell, Draconic Length, It's a 6 cost spell with the effect Destroy an enemy follower. If you play a follower that originally cost at least 5 play points, change the cost of this card to 4. So basically this is like force removal. Most force removal costs 5. This one has the added bonus: if you play a follower that originally cost 5 play points, it becomes 4. So it's cheaper force removal, I guess. It's a good card because DragonCraft definitely can play something that costs at least 5 play points. And the wording here is originally cost 5 play points. So if anything gets cost reduced by Dragon Emissary or Wyvern Cavalier, this card still takes into account its original cost. So if you play, say, Sibyl of the Waterworm at turn 4 because you got it from Dragon Emissary, this card's effect will still allow it to change to 4 cost. Whether it will be played or not really depends on the deck you're running, because I know with all the late game power that DragonCraft has, I know some people don't like to run force removal. I know some people still like to run force removal simply because they are in the situation where sometimes they have to remove one big follower, which they cannot do with trading alone. So really it's up to personal preference whether you want to run force removal, and if you do want to run force removal, I think this is a great option, because 4 cost force removal is it gives you much more options, because that 1 cost reduction really gives you much more breathing space to play this card along with other cards during the same turn. So great card. Next we have Hippogriff Rider. It's a 5 cost 2/4, extremely understated, but it has a interesting skill, Storm. So yes, Storm. And whenever another allied follower attacks, gain +1/+0. So I think what they're trying to do here is promote a new mechanic. She is kind of similar with Phoenix Rider Aina, where basically the more followers there are, the stronger she gets. So I'm guessing this deck will probably go into some token DragonCraft decks. I know I've seen people already play it during this expansion. They go play a lot of small followers, then they play Forte and Aina to use Storm to finish it off. Definitely has potential to be a very strong deck because it's quite fast, unlike other late game DragonCraft decks. The token Storm DragonCraft deck definitely is fast. So yeah, I think this card will be quite good. Whether I doubt you'll go into any existing decks, any like existing late game DragonCraft decks, because its stats are a little bit low and it's in that 5 cost slot where DragonCraft doesn't really play mid-range followers. So probably not into any late game DragonCraft decks, but definitely probably into the it probably goes into the token DragonCraft Storm deck. So yeah, interesting, and generally I think it's a good card. Next we have Master of Draconic Art, 3 cost 1/4 with Ward and Clash, gain +4/+0 until the end of the turn if Overflow is active for you. One, I feel this card really, it won't be playing Constructed, simply because first, a 3 cost 1/4 with Ward, you have a better option in Imprisoned Dragon, which is a 4/3 with Ward, even though Imprisoned Dragon cannot attack. If you compare it to him, he only has 1 attack, so if he attacks it doesn't make that much of a difference anyway. And his Clash, gain +4 attack until end of turn. It's only active if Overflow is active, and the moment Overflow is active, you do not want to be playing him, and you probably won't be playing him either. So probably won't run him in any of the existing decks, simply because there are better options, definitely. Like in the 3 cost slot for DragonCraft, you already have Dragon Knight Alea, so if you want to put him in, definitely there are better options. So okay card for Arena, I guess, because in Arena anything can happen and you have to make do with your resources, but in Constructed, I don't think it's really playable. Following that, we have a 4-cost 2/4, slightly understated once again, Elder Tortoise. Now, his skill is quite an interesting one. Fanfare, recover 1 evolution point if Overflow is active for you. So, the real question here is playing 4-cost 2/4, is playing a 4-cost 2/4 justifiable for recovering 1 evolution point? I would say no, because once again, by the time you reach Overflow, which will be probably much faster since you're playing DragonCraft, you will probably already control the tempo, so you really don't need that much evolution points. But the greatest use I can see for this card is definitely in Arena, because in Arena or Take 2, the person with more evolution points usually has the advantage. So and Arena, of course, since the decks are not constructed like not constructed normally, you have to make do with a lot of your resources, and playing a 4-cost 2/4 for evolution point is definitely worth it in Arena. In Constructed, not so much, but in Arena, definitely a worth it card. So, yep. Now, out of our last card, we have a 2-cost 1/2 Dragon Summoner. So, fanfare, put a random DragonCraft follower from your deck into your hand. So, it's kind of like Mate Leader, just that Mate Leader fetches a commander, while she fetches any random DragonCraft follower. So if you're playing some crazy OTK, then and you only run 1 DragonCraft follower, then yeah, she'll be good. Generally, I think she is not bad as well to be able to fetch out cards for you, but whether she will be seeing play is another thing. I can definitely see her being played because, well, okay, how do I put this? If you run JabberWock, hold on, let me go back there. If you run JabberWock, then only JabberWock as your DragonCraft legendary, and every other card in your deck is neutral, which will not be abnormal because this expansion promotes a lot of neutral decks. You can use her to fetch out JabberWock, and then after that play JabberWock to upgrade your board. So definitely, she has potential to be played in a lot of decks. The only issue I have is since doesn't specify, since the card effect specifies just a random DragonCraft follower, it means, if I'm not wrong, she can fetch herself because she's also a DragonCraft follower. So she can fetch herself, and if you play her again, she has the potential of fetching herself again. So kind of iffy, but I would still think she's playable. So yep. That's it for this side. Now we move on to the Reddit side. So, for the Reddit side, we have 3 more cards we need to cover. So first, I'll start off with Dramatic Dragon Blader. So this card, when I first saw it, I thought it was pretty insane. It's a 3-cost 5/6. Yes, you didn't see it. It is correct. 3-cost 5/6 with Ward. And the fanfare, summon an enemy dragon. So on turn 3, you play her. Your opponent gets a 5/5 enemy dragon, but she even if the enemy dragon trades directly into her, you still have her at 5/1. And a 3-cost 5/1 is a little bit insane. The reason why I think this has the potential to be very good is because you play her, the dragon is summoned, and your opponent trades your opponent tries to remove her, of course, because she has ward, it can really cause quite a big problem for your opponent if your opponent doesn't have removal or things on the board. Say you're going first, both of you don't play anything on your 1-drop. On your turn, on your 2-drop, you play something, your opponent plays something. Then on your 3rd turn, you play her, your 2-drop trades into his 2-drop, so you have a 5-6, your opponent has a 5-5. If your opponent cannot deal with her, the dragon cannot finish her off either, then you will have a 5-6 on turn 4, which is unanswered. So she definitely has the potential to be extremely strong. And now, this is where it gets a little bit insane. Her evolve skill is Ward. Evolve, banish an enemy dragon. She doesn't get the stat increase, of course, but you play her at a 3-cost 5-6, the enemy dragon gets summoned, and then you remove the enemy dragon, so you have just effectively played a 3-cost 5-6 for free. This card is insane, I would say. Very, very good, and yes, definitely will play quite a few copies. And yeah, she's just an extremely good card. I don't have anything much to add to that. So she's good as an evolve target, she's just good as a standalone card as well, so have nothing to complain about. She's definitely a very good card. Would love to see her being played in a lot of decks. So yeah. Following that, we have Dragon Sculpture. It's a 4-cost amulet with the skill. At the end of your turn, transform this amulet into a dragon if the opponent has more cards in play than you. So, of course, a dragon is a 5-5, so summoning a 5-5 for 4 costs is not bad. And also, the reason why I think this card has the potential to be played is simply because DragonCraft on their first, I don't know, 3, I guess, their first 3 turns, they probably don't play anything. They would probably play nothing on the first turn, Dragon Oracle on the second turn, maybe Dragon Knight Ayla on the third turn, and then Dragon Knight Ayla, they want her to be traded off as well to get a play point. So on the 4th turn, basically there will be nothing. DragonCraft would have played nothing on the board, nearly. So definitely it's a, you were probably I keep saying definitely probably today, what's wrong with me? So most likely you won't have more cards in play than your opponent, thus this amulet will can fulfill its condition quite easily and summon the dragon for you. And of course, since the dragon is a 5-5, your opponent will have to deal with it somehow, and it can take up your opponent's resources. So definitely a strong card. I think it's playable in quite some decks. Only worry I have is it's slightly slow, but DragonCraft has ramp, so maybe not that slow. So following that, the last card here, we have Ebon Beast Warrior. So it's a 7-cost 6/8 with Ward. Its stats are fair, I guess. Fanfare, randomly discard one of the lowest cost dragon card. Let me speak. Fanfare, randomly discard one of the lowest cost DragonCraft cards in your hand. Well, that was a tongue twister for me. Now, it seems a little bit plain. Like, this is kind of the discard DragonCraft mechanic, but then again, you're just discarding for a 7-cost 6/8 with Ward. It kind of feels a little bit lacking, you know what I mean? So probably won't see play, and as much as I want discard DragonCraft to succeed, doesn't look like it's getting a lot of support this expansion, so kind of disappointing, but oh well, can't be helped. Whoops. Yeah, I should be doing this more often. Okay, so that's gonna be it for DragonCraft. So stay tuned next time, where we will cover I forgot what's the next one. Bloodcraft or Shadowcraft? Probably Shadowcraft. Okay, we'll be covering Shadowcraft next time. Let's just say that. So, see you guys.